Today in the EU, Europe holds its breath as Romania hits the polls one last time. Romania votes for a new president on Sunday, the 8th of December, and polls point so far to Georgescu. He is a far-right candidate who earned citizens' trust on TikTok and supports Russia. In a nation where only 1 in 3 citizens trust the government, the semi-presidential system could grant Georgescu significant power to challenge parliamentary majorities. So who is Georgescu, and how could his presidency tilt the country towards the Kremlin? Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Giada Santana, and this is Today in the EU. I'm joined in the studio by Georgi Gotev, senior editor at Euractiv. Hello, Georgi.
Hello, Giada.
So Romanians are hitting the polls for the third time on Sunday for the presidential election runoff. What's the current picture in parliament?
Indeed, Romanians vote in 3 consecutive Sundays. The first was 23 November. Then it was the first round of the presidential election. Then on 1st December, they voted for the parliament. And on 8th December is the presidential election runoff. So it's not decided yet who the next president will be, but we know which parties made it to the next parliament.
Mm-hmm. And which ones are they?
Well, the Socialist Democratic Party emerged as the frontrunner, securing 22% of the vote. But the far-right Our Party, Alliance for the Union of Romanians, Our means gold in Romania, they came second with 18%, and that's important to note.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of mainstream parties, the National Liberal Party, which is EPP affiliated, and the Save Romania Union, which is affiliated to the Liberals, won approximately 13 and 12% of the vote, respectively.
Mm-hmm.
And the ethnic Hungarian party, UDMR, got 6%. Apart from in Romania, there are 2 more far-right parties. One is called SOS,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one is called POT. It's the Party of Young People. And they had 7 and 6%, respectively. So all the far-right parties received a total of more than 31%, and that's a lot. That's a significant increase from the less of 10% they received in 2020.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's quite an increase.
Mm-hmm. And this marks a historic breakthrough for the far-right parties in Romania since the fall of communism.
Indeed, far-right parties got a third of the votes combined. However, after the first days of uncertainty that followed the first round of the presidential election, a coalition deal was struck between parties ranging from the Social Democrats to the Conservatives to bypass any far-right government.
Yes, but don't expect too much from it. You should not extrapolate a parliamentary election, which is a proportional vote, with a presidential election, which is a majority vote. So, yes, 7 out of 10 Romanians voted for mainstream parties, but this doesn't mean that Georgescu doesn't have very good chances to become president.
Yes, Georgescu is a far-right candidate. But so I'm interested in understanding better what sort of checks and balances does the Bucharest parliament have when interface with the president. Let's suppose Georgescu wins. What powers would he hold, and could his election topple this majority?
According to the Romanian constitution, the president has considerable powers, not as many as the French president, but slightly more than the presidents of most countries in the European Union. He can appoint the next prime minister, and he can play a role in the formation of the next government. And this is why I think that if Georgescu is elected, he will push for a government with Prime Minister George Simeon, the other far-right leader. And in such a government, he will probably try to attract the Social Democrats. The Social Democrat leader, Marcel Ciolacu, in the night of the first round of the presidential election, he made some voices which sounded like he wants to speak like a Eurosceptic, he wants to speak like a conservative, about family values, about the Orthodox religion. The Romanians are very religious and so on.
So he's rebranding.
Maybe this is the beginning of a rapprochement, and maybe this is the shape of a next government.
Yes, he is one of the two candidates in the presidential race, along with Elena Lasconi. The two are very different, but they have one thing in common. Neither of them is part of the two traditional ruling parties. One is a pro-Russian NATO skeptic. The other is a liberal politician. Can you expand on their profiles?
Well, Călin Georgescu is clearly an extremist, a populist, an admirer of Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin. He's a sovereignist. He wants that, for example, banks in Romania become Romanian-owned again. At present, maybe 90% of the banks in Romania are foreign-owned. He wants Romania to stop supporting Ukraine. He doubts that EU funds are helping the country. He's that type of politician. And conversely, Elena Lasconi, who is since recently the leader of the USR party, Save Romania party. She's a centrist. She's, by the way, a journalist by background. She was not really very much involved in politics. Mm-hmm. I would call her a liberal, and without any doubt, she's a politician who values Romania's membership in the EU and NATO.
Yeah, Lasconi, Georgescu's opponent, said that Romania has a serious choice to make.
Avem o problemă foarte gravă. Deci, acum suntem în situația în care avem de ales.
The one between Russia and the European Union. So, comparing the political consensus the candidates have gathered, is Georgescu likely to win?
Well, if I need to make a bet, I would say Georgescu's chances are much better, and this is clearly indicated by opinion polls. Mm-hmm. Opinion polls give him a clear advantage over Lasconi. So I think that it would be a surprise if Romanians probably, if they go to the polls massively, that Lasconi could win. Normally, we should expect that Georgescu will be the president.
And he went from being a relatively unknown candidate to becoming a social media superstar. His rise to success has been a surprise to many.
How is it possible for somebody to jump from, let's say, 10 to 23%?
Yes.
How is it possible that the entire political system, parties, traditional, have completely collapsed?
What is driving the positive results of his campaign?
There are several reasons. I have tried to analyze, and I concluded that the surge of Georgescu became possible because he best embodies the revolt against a political system associated with corruption, cronyism, and inefficiency, a system also masked between the Euro-Atlantic posturing.
Mm-hmm. So yet another anti-establishment candidate.
Yes, because even the Euro-Atlantic posturing has lost appeal over time. And I think he, better than anyone else, better than George Simion, for example, he used his advantage. Is he charismatic? Did TikTok help him? That's another issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking of TikTok, how did his social media campaign boost his candidacy?
Well, the latest development is that several documents pertaining to the alleged influence on the first round of the elections were declassified by the Romanian secret services. And in one of the documents, Romania's intelligence agency says that Georgescu was massively promoted on TikTok through coordinated accounts, recommendation algorithms, and paid promotion. The intelligence services also say that access data from official Romanian election websites were published on Russian cybercrime platforms, and they added over 80,000 cyber attacks, which aimed to exploit system vulnerabilities of the Romanian election websites. And reportedly, the attacks continued intensively on election day and the night after the elections. It's also interesting to note that Georgescu has declared zero expenses for his campaign. One may ask who paid.
Absolutely. Speaking more of the reasons, of course, social media is something we talk more and more about when we're analyzing polls and election results. And that might have more of an effect on younger generations. But when it comes to older ones, are there also, you talked about his anti-establishment positioning, are there also socioeconomic reasons involved?
I think so, because if we look at the figures, Romania's inflation rate for 2023 was 10.4%. That's one of the highest interest rates in the EU. And this figure speaks for itself. So he's banking on, of course, people who are disappointed with declining living standards.
And because Georgescu is a pro-Kremlin candidate, can we say that there's a positioning shift in Romania towards Russia? And how does that impact the war in Ukraine?
Well, historically, Romanians have been very careful to keep their distances from Russia. History has taught them many lessons. That's why it's a little bit strange that Georgescu is openly saying that he likes Putin as a strong leader. He didn't say more than that, but this seems to be enough. I think that Georgescu, if he is elected, he will align himself with Donald Trump. And that's more what he is trying to tell the Romanians. I will be your strong leader. I will make Romania great again. And whatever the position of Trump toward Russia will be, that will determine Georgescu's position.
That's interesting because from the political analysis that I've been consuming so far, it seems that the Trump administration will push for a negotiation deal where Ukraine would have to potentially give away part of its own territory.
You are right. Trump reportedly wants a quick end to the conflict, which probably means freezing the battle lines along the lines held at present. But until this happens, Georgescu is also likely to stop helping Ukraine exporting its grain and other products via Romanian territory. And that's not good news for Ukraine.
So what you're saying is that this election will have a major impact on the region.
And on Europe. I think that under Georgescu, if he is elected, of course, Romania will join Hungary and Slovakia as Ukraine skeptic and Russia-friendly countries. And that would undermine our union.
Thank you, Georgi.
Thank you, Giada.
I'm Giada Santana, and this was Euractiv's podcast, Today in the EU. Visit Euractiv to stay on top of the latest news and sign up for our newsletters. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite streaming platform. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a review. It will really help us spreading the word about our work. Sound engineering by Miriam Sanz de Tejada. Research and production by Charles Cohen. See you tomorrow. As part of our commitment to accuracy, inclusion, and transparency, Euractiv is part of the Trust Project.